Cool. And we're rolling. Hi, I've never done this before. I'm Audrey. I do marketing and social media for the Springs event venues. We have 21 all over Texas and Oklahoma. And I thought today I would make a little show called Bridal Shows. What is it called? Bridal Shows Tips from the Pros. I'm your pro. I do have street cred. I do know what I'm talking about. I just don't know video. I've never made this kind of stuff before. So this is fun. So this will be new for me. You're probably new to wedding planning. You're probably a bride. You probably just got engaged. Congratulations. We love brides. We have TSE brides, like I said, all over Texas and Oklahoma. And but this is for anybody. If you're getting ready for a bridal show, there's not a whole lot you have to do, but there's some things you probably should know. So I've got 10 tips for you today, and let's get into it. Let's do it. Tip number 1 is to know the show. So what I mean by that is know how long it's going to be. Generally, it's from noon to 5, noon to 4, something like that. The one in Houston that's coming up this weekend in January is actually going to be 2 full days, so Saturday and Sunday. Your larger shows are going to be downtown in the big convention centers. So because of that, you want to kind of dress for comfort. So this wouldn't be the time like to break out the stilettos and look all sassy, even though I'm sure that you do. Go for comfort. It's a long day. You're going to go up and down booth aisles and meet a lot of vendors, take a lot of notes, get a lot of pamphlets, brochures. And so anyway, it can make a long day. Also, I have an email. Okay. Also, let me turn that off. Also, if you're the kind of gal who gets hungry and then you get hangry when you haven't eaten, it's a good idea to eat ahead of time. Like I said, it's a long day. Let's get into tip number 2, which is know your goal. Are you going to just have fun with your girlies for the day, get some wedding inspiration, eat some goodies from caterers? You'll have cake samples there, score some really good deals with discounts, raffles, or are you going to book things? Like you've already done your research, you kind of know the vendors who are going to be there and you're ready? If so, bring your wallet. It's time to book them and take advantage of some of those show specials that you'll have. Tip number 3 is to get on Google. I love Google. You should find out what you can ahead of time by getting on the Bridal Show website. Find out about parking. That can be kind of a headache on bridal show days. Ticket sales. Can you buy them ahead of time? A lot of times you get a better rate if you do get online and buy them than you can at the door. You should also know, what else should you know? Oh, the vendor directory. It's good to know what vendors will be there before you get there so that you can do a little bit of research. We'll talk about that in a minute. Next tip, know your swag. You're going to get a bag when you get to the show. Most of the time they'll have somebody sponsoring a bag. They can be I didn't say this, but I'm going to say this. They can be kind of cheap. And if you're collecting a lot of information and pamphlets, they get heavy and the handles break. Recommend that you bring a second bag, not only as a backup, but also because this is my little secret, but I would collect the information, the stuff that I'm really interested in, I put in one bag. The stuff that I'm like just being nice because I can't say no, I put in the other bag, because when you get home, when you go to dump it out, it's just going to be a pile on your dining room table. So the 2-bag strategy, it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Also, let's talk about outfits, because you not only get a name badge, it'll say bride and identify you. Sometimes I really like it whenever the bride and the bridal party, they get matching outfits. So they match their shirts, or they have like I don't know, what is it called? Bride tribe or something, or anyway, matching outfits are kind of cool. I don't know, maybe I'm a dork, but I like them. Tip number 5, know your venue policies if you're already booked somewhere. And if you have a preferred vendor list there that you can't book outside of that list, some venues do that. At the Springs venues, we don't do that. The exceptions can be bartending, but at some venues, it's more than that. It's like you have to choose certain caterers, certain DJs. And if you're booked at one of those venues and you go and start the conversation at the show with a vendor who can't come, that's not good. That's a conflict. So know if your venue is open to outside vendors or if you have to use a preferred list. Next thing is this is good to know because how knowing how the vendor got there is kind of important. So to go to a bridal show, really the only qualifications are that you paid for the vendor space and two, that you filled out the application. That means that nobody's really vetted that vendor, which it's not bad. Everybody has to get a start somewhere, but there's a difference between a bridal show and an open house. Venue open houses generally follow the bridal shows. Bridal shows are big 3 times a year in January, June, and September, and you'll have venue open houses right after that. So at the Springs, we've got a ton coming up in February, March, April. Shameless plug for that, but you should go to them because at a venue open house, those are personally like filtered. The venue management, they work with them, they know them, they trust them, they invited them, and they wouldn't invite someone if they weren't good. It's not that at bridal shows, like I said, that the vendors are bad. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that they paid the fee, they filled out the application, but that's about it. So good tip for the bride. Next one, knowing the vendors ahead of time allows you time to read reviews. Reviews are, I think they're so important before you start booking anything, before you start signing contracts. If you're at a show and they have a really great promotion, that's wonderful. One, you shouldn't sign anything without one, reading the contract, and two, hopping on your phone, checking out reviews. Let's talk about reviews. These are probably the 5 biggest ones, where you have Google, Yelp, and Facebook. Those can be from anybody. Generally, it's the bride, the mother of the bride, a friend, but it could also be from a guest. So they don't get filtered. If you're looking at a marketing profile like The Knot or Wedding Wire, those are almost always from a bride. Read bride reviews. See what other brides say. Maybe they have good tips, or maybe they're going to warn you of some things to look out for. So never book before you have a chance to read reviews, no matter how good the deal is. Next one, know that vendors are going to contact you afterwards. Here's the skinny. At a bridal show, every vendor who attends gets what's called a lead list. It's where all of the brides who registered, we get an Excel spreadsheet, and it'll have the bride name, phone number, email, whatever you gave registration is what the vendors get. Now, some vendors put that on a mass marketing email list and blast it out to all of you. So most vendors don't do that, but some do. So you're going to get a lot of emails. For that reason, I really recommend that you set up a wedding email that is totally separate from your normal inbox. So not your work email, not your personal email, but something that's like Tim and Sue 2019 at gmail.com. That'll help you keep all your wedding stuff absolutely separate from real life. You know what I mean? Okay, next tip. We're almost there. 2 more tips. Be savvy with stickers. Okay, so have you seen Avery labels? You get them a lot of times at like a drugstore or an office supply store. The really savvy brides create a Avery sticker sheet where it's got things pre-printed on a label, where when you get to that venue booth, you can just put down the sticker and not have to rewrite over and over your name, your phone number, that wedding email we just talked about, and the date or the time of year that you're looking for. So again, bride email, phone, wedding email, and then date or time of year you're looking for to get married. Final tip, we're there, number 10, is having either an app or go old school and get pen and paper, but having a to-do list so that when you get back home and you do dump out all of those pamphlets, you're not guided by the pamphlets, you're guided by what you remember. I want to contact this vendor, I want to go to this open house, read the reviews for this photographer that I met. Whatever it is, make a to-do list, because when you get back, you're gonna forget it all. So those are my tips. That was fun. That wasn't painful at all. That was, man, I like that. I had a good time. I hope you did too. Enjoy your bridal show. And if you want to, this is another little plug. If you want to find us and hang out with us more and get, I say us, like I'm the only one here, but if you want to hang out on the Springs Brides and Pros Facebook group, you can find us at www.facebook.com/group/Springs Venue, and we'll talk some wedding stuff. Have a great evening. Bye, y'all.